Om Sai Ram. This is the Sri Sai Satcharitra. Chapter 1. In this chapter we'll cover the salutations and the story of grinding wheat and its philosophical significance. According to an ancient and revered custom, Madpant begins the work, Sai Satcharitra, with various salutations. First, he bows and prays to the god Ganesha to remove all obstacles and make the work a success, and says that Sri Sai is the god Ganesha. To the goddess Saraswati to inspire him to write the work, and says that Sri Sai is one with this goddess and that he is himself singing his own life. To the gods, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, the creating, preserving and destroying deities respectively, and says that Sainath is one with them, and Sai as the great teacher will carry us across the river of worldly existence. To his tutelary deity, Narayan Adinath, who manifested himself in Konkan, the land reclaimed by Parshuram, or Lord Rama from the sea, and to the Aadi Purush, or the original male ancestor of the family. Then to the Bhardwaj Muni, into whose gotra or clan he was born, and also to various rishis or saints, Yagyavalakya, Brigu, Parashar, Narad, Vedavyas, Sanak, Sanandan, Sanat Kumar, Shuka, Shunak, Vishwamitraya, Vasistha, Valmiki, Vamadeva, Jaimini, Vaishampayan, Nava Yogindra, and also modern saints such as Nivriti, Nyanadev, Sopan, Muktabai, Janardan, Eknath, Namdev, Tukaram, Kanha, and Narahari, etc. Then to his grandfather Sadashiv, Father Raghunath, his mother who passed away in his infancy, to his paternal aunt who raised him, and to his loving elder brother. Then to the readers, and praise them to give their whole and undivided attention to his work. And lastly, to his Guru Sri Sainath, an incarnation of Sri Dattatreya, who is his sole refuge, and who will make him realize that Brahma is the reality and the world an illusion, and incidentally, to all the beings in whom the Lord God dwells. After describing in brief the various modes of devotion according to Parashar, Vyas, and Shandilya, etc., the author goes on to relate the following story. It was sometime after 1910 AD that I went, one fine morning, to the masjid in Shirdi to receive Sai Baba's darshan. I was wonderstruck to see the following phenomenon. After washing his mouth and face, Sai Baba began to make preparations for grinding wheat. He spread a sack on the floor, and thereon set a hand mill. He took some quantity of wheat in a winnowing fan, and then drawing up the sleeves of his kafni or robe, and taking hold of the peg of the hand mill, started grinding the wheat by putting a few handfuls of wheat in the upper opening of the mill and rotated it. I thought, what business Baba had with the grinding of wheat when he possessed nothing and stored nothing, and as he lived on alms? Some people who had come there thought likewise, but none had the courage to ask Baba what he was doing. Immediately this news of Baba's grinding wheat spread into the village, and at once men and women flocked to the masjid to see Baba's act. 4 bold women from the crowd forced their way up, gently pushing Baba aside, forcibly took the peg or handle into their hands, and singing Baba's leelas, started grinding. At first, Baba was enraged, but on seeing the women's love and devotion, he was much pleased and began to smile. While they were grinding, they began to think that since Baba had no house, no property, no children, none to look after, and since he lived on alms, he did not require any wheat flour for making bread or roti. What will he do with this big quantity of flour? Perhaps as Baba is very kind, he would distribute the flour amongst us. Thinking in this way while singing, they finished the grinding, and after putting the hand mill aside, they divided the flour into 4 portions and began to remove them one per head. Baba, who was calm and quiet up till then, got wild and started yelling at them, saying, "Ladies, have you gone mad? Whose father's property are you looting away? Have I borrowed any wheat from you so that you can safely take the flour? Now please do this. Take the flour and throw it on the village border limits." On hearing this, the women felt abashed and whispering amongst themselves, went away to the outskirts of the village and spread the flour as directed by Baba. I asked the people of Shirdi, what was this that Baba did? They replied that as the cholera epidemic was spreading in the village, this was Baba's remedy against the same. It was not wheat that was ground, but the cholera itself was ground to pieces and pushed out of the village. From this time onward, the cholera epidemic subsided and the people of Shirdi were happy. I was much pleased to know all this, but at the same time, my curiosity was also aroused. I began to ask myself, what earthly connection was there between wheat flour and cholera? What was the causal relation between the two? And how to reconcile them? The incident seemed to be inexplicable. I should write something on this and sing to my heart's content Baba's sweet leelas or miracles. Thinking in this way about this leela, my heart was filled with joy, and I was thus inspired to write Baba's life, the Satcharitra. And as we know, with Baba's grace and blessing, this work was successfully accomplished. The philosophical significance of grinding. Apart from the meaning which the people of Shirdi put on this incident of grinding wheat, there is, we believe, a philosophical significance too. Sai Baba lived in Shirdi for about 60 years, and during this long period, he did the business of grinding almost every day. Not, however, the wheat alone, but the sins, the mental and physical afflictions and the miseries of his innumerable devotees. The two stones of his mill consisted of karma and bhakti, or devotion, the former being the lower and the latter the upper one. The handle with which Baba worked the mill consisted of jnana. It was the firm conviction of Baba that knowledge or self-realization is not possible unless there is the prior act of grinding of all our impulses, desires, sins, and of the four gunas, sattva, raja, tama, and the ahamkara, or ego, which is so subtle and therefore so difficult to get rid of. This reminds us of a similar story of Kabir, who upon seeing a woman grinding corn said to his guru, Nipati Ranjan, "I am weeping because I feel the agony of being crushed in this wheel of worldly existence, like the corn in the handmill." Nipati Ranjan replied, "Do not be afraid. Hold fast to the handle of knowledge of this mill as I do, and do not wander far from the same, but instead turn inward to the center, and you are sure to be saved." Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. And that brings us to the end of Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 1.